Welcome and thank you for joining today. My name is Asif Rehmani. I will be talking about how to drive SharePoint adoption in your organization. And of course, when I say SharePoint, it goes as well with SharePoint on-prem or SharePoint online. Office 365 adoption as well, I believe, is in the same category. All right, so once again, like I said, my name is Asif Rehmani. I'm from VisualSP, the CEO over there, also a SharePoint MVP and a Microsoft certified trainer. Here's my Twitter handle if you need this. Let me dive in directly by telling you a quick story. Now, this quick story, some of you might have already heard before. Hopefully, it's new to many of you. Let's see. This is a story of a beautiful looking intranet. Yeah, a very beautiful looking intranet that didn't really help its users. So here's the story. I'll make it quick. University that we consulted for many years ago. It was a SharePoint-based consulting, obviously. This is way before even SharePoint 2010. And we did this installation, configuration, design of the intranet based on SharePoint. Everything looked great. The functionality looked good. The design looked good. Even back in the day, everybody was satisfied. But a couple of months down the line, we went and looked at the search logs of what people were searching for and if they were finding what they were looking for in the intranet, which that's the only thing that matters, I feel. And we found that we completely failed. We could not provide the answer to the number one thing that people were searching for on the intranet. All right. And I'm going to let you guys decide what that thing was. Well, answer the thing was. And so let's see if I can get a poll out for this thing. And launch. All right, so a poll has been launched. You tell me, what do you think that was that people were looking for and they could not find? I've told this story before, so people who have heard this before might know what I'm talking about. Let's see. All right, quite a few of you are voting already. I'm going to close this down in about 10 seconds. All right, closing the poll now. And I'm going to share it with you guys as well. So here are the results. Hopefully you can see the results right now. 11% said class schedule, 51% said cafeteria menu, 8% said faculty information, 12% map of campus, and 18% academic calendar. So the 51% of you, I can bet many of you have probably heard me tell the story before, right? Yes, that's what it was about the cafeteria menu. It was not the so-called important things that people thought was important. It was something that was important for the people who were actually viewing and on the intranet, right? The cafeteria menu at a university is a pretty important thing to people, faculty, staff, and students included. Give people what they want, when they want it, where they want it, and they will come back to you, to the things that you have created, for the things that you want them to see. That's my motto. You got to give it to them what they want first. All right, let's get into this. Let me hide the poll results here. So you should be able to see my screen again. The agenda today is going to be a couple of minutes talking about myself and our company, and then diving into the discussion on how and why you should care about adoption, what it is, which hopefully it's a silly thing, everybody knows, but why we should care. Overview of the current challenges and the stories to learn from. I like to tell stories so people learn from the failures and the good things, hopefully, that we have found. And then lastly, of course, strategies to overcome those challenges, right? All right, I want to make sure everybody can see this, my screen, by the way. Just want to look at the questions panel. Okay, so let's dig into it. This is a snapshot of who I am as far as my business-related stuff is concerned, at least. So trainer, consultant, been in SharePoint industry and doing stuff since 2012. I'm sorry, 2012, 2002. So it's a long time, 14 years, no, 2002? Yeah, 2000, I can't remember anymore. I think it was 2002. So about 13 years now, almost 14 years. Anyway, I really enjoy mentoring and training people and understanding their stories and trying to find a good solution for the issues that people are having. Solution architecture and training and mentoring has been my favorite things that I do, and I do it in all these different methods. That's about me. I'm based in Chicago as well, by the way. And about our company. So we provide two separate things. One is the help system, and second main thing is a training center. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of that, and then we'll dive into the stuff we need to cover today. First thing, the help tab is what we have been pretty popular for, and that's this help tab right here that I'm talking about. The help tab comes up, follows the user around wherever they go, whether it's SharePoint Online or SharePoint On-Prem 2013, 2010, and it provides them all these things, these artifacts, these videos or these reference documents, screenshots, or whatever it is. Somebody clicks on one of these things and a window comes up, and in that window they see the actual artifact. Pretty simple, in context, on demand. Information is on our site about VisualSP Help System. Check it out if it makes sense to you. And the second thing is the training center, something that we have started doing even before the help system. All these different topics that we have covered, branding and metadata management, records management, project management, and everything else. So there's lots and lots of video tutorials out there. Check it out. Hopefully this is helpful to you. In fact, we're actually going to do a giveaway for this stuff as well. So at the end of this webinar, I'll do a raffle for 1 year access to VisualSP site, all the videos on the site. Okay, and that's the retail value of almost $200. The way we're going to pick this is from the questions panel, basically. We'll look at the questions panel and see the discussion and everything else. And Michael, who's out there as well right now with me, is going to go ahead and pick a name at the end. All right, so put your questions out there. I would love it for it to be a collaborative webinar and not just me talking the whole time. Here we go. Target audience. Basically, it's for the people who are responsible for making SharePoint successful in their organization, for supporting users, for eliminating chaos, basically, from the SharePoint environment. It's hopefully for you. One of these official titles or some of the other title that you have, but it's hopefully for the person who wants to see it be successful in the company. And to that point, here's the first question that I like to ask people that I talk to. What can SharePoint do for you? Why should you care? There has to be something in it for you. You meaning, of course, you, the attendees, and you who are the SharePoint people, the execs, or the SharePoint guy, or the program manager. Why do you care? Is it for your career progression? Is it for satisfaction of helping users and mentoring? Is it because you just have an infatuation with SharePoint and you just love SharePoint? You want to build solutions on top of it. You want to see it succeed. Or it's just because it's your job and you just have to do this SharePoint thingy, but you don't really care about it. So that's something that I really would love for you to reflect on and see what's in it for me, WIIFM. I think that's a pretty central topic to this webinar and also to us as a whole, as a SharePoint community. What's in it for me? Why am I doing this thing? Think about that, and I'll come back to that. I'm sure there's some people are going to put some comments on it in the questions panel. I'll read some of that stuff later as well. But moving on right now, here's what SharePoint can do for you. It can make you look like a superhero. Absolutely. It can progress your career. Has been seen many, many times. It can help you get a job in any industry vertical. That's the really cool thing about SharePoint, right? So it can make you look like this guy or female version of this person, right? Vice versa, it can make you look completely foolish as well. Very possible. It can get you fired. That's happened as well, unfortunately. And it can make you change your career and go to a different industry altogether. That's also on the flip side of the coin with what SharePoint can do. So which side are you on? What do you want it to do for you? It's up to you. how you play it, how you play the cards, where you want to go with it. Saying this thing, I'm going to go ahead and first, a second, I should say, poll one more time to see exactly what version you're on right now, so I can speak to that a little bit more. So, SharePoint 2013, SharePoint Online, SharePoint 2010, SharePoint 2007, earlier. Don't put this in the questions and answer. Actually, I'm going to put a poll out there for this one as well. So here we go, launching the poll for it. It's just going to help me understand the audience better before we go forward. And I'm going to suspect a lot of you are on SharePoint 2010 or maybe migrating to SharePoint 2013, but that's usually the crowd that I get. Let's see. Okay, give it 5 more seconds. All right, I'm going to close the poll and share with you guys what I see. Here it is, 15% Office 365, and that's definitely going to be growing. 36% SharePoint 2013, and of course, as I thought, 45% SharePoint 2010. I'm sure looking to go to SharePoint 2013 or Office 365 soon, within the next year or year and a half. Usually this is the case. SharePoint 2007, a few people, and before SharePoint 2007, I feel for you guys who are out there working with SharePoint 2003 or SharePoint 2001. I definitely feel for you. That's when I started my career as well with those things, and I hope you get to the newer versions soon. All right, I'm going to hide this, so you should be able to see my screen right now. All right. So why is adoption of a technology by information workers so important? Hopefully an obvious question, but let's look at an analogy. You know, I show this thing sometimes as well in my presentations. This is a Beluga Airbus airplane. I don't know if anybody has seen this flying around, but supposedly this actually does fly around, and it carries aircrafts and helicopters and tanks and stuff like that. But in this picture, it shows like it's supposed to carry passengers with all these windows and stuff like that, right? And you got a big crowd gathered here looking at this thing, a big inauguration of this. And then I dug into it a little bit more, and I saw these pictures as well of some of the snapshots of maybe renderings or actual pictures of what's inside this airplane. Pretty cool airplane, lots of good amenities. But you know what's missing? People. Okay, at least in these renderings, people are missing. So I thought about this immediately when I saw this many years ago. Like, you know, this is what a lot of us do, and as unfortunately as well. We make this huge, big, giant SharePoint deployment, right? A jumbo jet. But then who's actually inside the jumbo jet? Is it really worth it to be flying around this thing empty? Or, you know, having some people in the beginning part of it over here and nobody in the back? Or just some sections of it filled in, which, like, for example, document management, but everything else not being utilized? Is that what's happening? Yes, that is definitely what's happening right now. Anyway, so moving onwards. Adoption of technology is not easy. In fact, according to Harvard School of Publishing, 2004, a new product takes almost 10 times as much improvement over the existing one for it to be able to easily adopted. That's a pretty tall order, isn't it? That's pretty hard to do in my mind, but that's exactly what it is right now. So a few things, for example, to consider over here. Ask yourself, is your SharePoint deployment better than your existing file share? Is it better than your existing intranet or the current document management system that's already deployed, if there's another one, or the search mechanism, or the business intelligence that's the solution that's already in place right now? All these things that SharePoint provides and much more, can SharePoint do it better? Can you do it much easier? You know, so these are some of the things I think we need to consider, because the things that we consider like that, that's what the users will see and consider as well. Is it providing me 10 times improvement over what I have currently? Is SharePoint even up for the job? Can SharePoint handle this? Has it been proven? Has it already happened? Let's take a look. Now I'm going to go a lot of these. I have a lot of slides and I have a lot of things that I want to talk to you about. I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. Hopefully you don't mind the pace over here. There's a lot of stuff SharePoint can do, in terms of collaboration, document management, social network, forms, workflows, search, metadata management. There's a lot of it can do. Fundamentally, things have not really changed from version to version. It's just getting enhanced more and more. But does it mean that should you use it for everything? Should you use SharePoint for all this stuff? That is something you should answer for yourself. And since we're on this topic, I'm going to also share a super secret NDA about SharePoint 2016, because I know everybody wants to know what's coming in SharePoint 2016, right? So here it is. Ready? SharePoint 2016 will even make coffee. That's the only thing that's remaining, really. I mean, SharePoint can do everything now. So anyway, SharePoint intranet design. There's lots of cool designs out there. Of course, much of the stuff I can't really share with you, the stuff that we see on our customer side and stuff like that, because they don't make it publicly available. But here's some of the stuff that is publicly available. So this is Kiwi Bank. They call their intranet PowerSpace based on SharePoint. Here's another one, BenNet. Okay. Another one, Bupa, the intranet. Another one, ComNet. So lots of pretty looking designs. Take a look at one thing. Do any of them say SharePoint? No, right? I don't see the word SharePoint in any of these things. They just say their own branding. They have their nice colors and fonts and layouts, something people relate to. They have their specific branding, their name, okay, something that people can relate to, but it doesn't specifically say SharePoint. These all come from this source right here. Beautiful looking intranets. They don't really say the name SharePoint, and you don't have to. The most successful ones that I've seen out there, people don't even know that they're using SharePoint. All right. Best rated intranets of 2013, according to the report from Nielsen Norman Group. This is 2013. I'm sure 2014 stuff is out also. I need to take a look at that stuff. But 7 out of top 10 winners in 2013 used SharePoint. There's some definitely customization that they had to do with mega menus and this and that and all, but still, 7 out of 10 tells me that, you know what, SharePoint was successful in many of these installations. So in my mind, and you let me know if I'm wrong here, but it looks like SharePoint's up for the job. Okay, so SharePoint as a technology, as a platform, can handle it. So now, having said that, what are the current user support and software adoption challenges for the support people and also for the end users, right? That's what we got to look at. So from the support person point of view, here's what they usually say from what we hear. Users ask the same questions again and again. It's like I'm answering the same exact thing every time. How do I create a new contact in this contact list? Or I'm not seeing my list on my quick launch. How do I make this put over there? There's no room on this page of the SharePoint. How do I make a new page? Do I make a new subsite? Do I make a new page? How do I give permissions to Joe and Nancy and people like that? And how do I keep Bob away from seeing all the stuff that I'm doing over here? All these regular stuff, I'm getting the same questions again and again and again. That's what support people say, right? People are calling me, emailing me. I'm not able to do my real job. How am I supposed to do my job, which is to build, maintain solutions on top of SharePoint? I can't do that stuff, and that's a big part of my job. I'm just supporting my users. Also, SharePoint is not just the only thing that I do. And this is true for many, not all, but many people out there who are doing quote unquote SharePoint work. They're also Windows administrators, or they're supporting Exchange or AD or Identity Manager, things like that. They're doing many things at the same time. SharePoint is just one of those things. And also, people keep going back to the old way of doing things. They're just set in their ways, and I can't get them to stay and make SharePoint stick. They go back to the old intranet. They go to a file share to get stuff from there. They go to the old document management solution, or they just email stuff around. They're not going to SharePoint as much as we need them to do. We're not getting the return on investment. And from the end user point of view, here's some things that we hear. I like the way things are currently. Why change it? I mean, I know the processes. It works. Why change all these things around? What's the point? I don't want to learn a new technology. I like the way our file share is currently working. I pick up stuff and I make changes. I do searches and stuff like that. I don't want to change. But is it what they're really saying? I mean, in my mind, and it's been proven, it's really what's in it for me is what they're really saying. I mean, think about it. We all made the change to go to smartphones. Many of us had the flip variety of phones or the other phones which were not quote unquote smartphones. Why did we do it? And people are still doing it right now. People in their people who are set in their ways, they're making the change. People who feel that they cannot make a change, they're making a change. My dad, my mom had gone through the smartphone way of doing things, and they are very technophobic in many ways. So how did this happen? Do you remember this device? I remember this device. This was back in 2000. Introduced Comcast Pocket PC, iPAQ, IPAQ. So that was the first iDevice that I remember, but it was from Compaq. It was not from Apple in this case. And it felt really smart. It felt really awesome. It was really expensive. I remember I really, really wanted it, and I finally did get it. But it was mostly the geek crowd that got it, the techie crowd that got it. It was not mainstream, and it never became mainstream. Why? Why did it not become mainstream? And what about this device? You know this device, right? This came around 2007, changed the game completely. Now, and then everybody else followed. And now we use some sort of this interface in everything that we do. Why? Because it works, right? It doesn't try to do too much. It uses the natural ways of doing things. It gives you a simple, straightforward, regular way of doing things. You just use your hand, throw it up there, and it just works. It doesn't do that much stuff. It just works. And then, of course, you can expand on it with apps and stuff like that. So how did this happen? What did it do? How can we create our own magic, right? Like that device made the magic. That's the question over here. So coming up, I have a very quick solution to all of your end user adoption problems. You ready for it? It's going to be a one-slide solution to all of your end-user adoption problems. And that's just, of course, one way of doing it. Let's see if it resonates with you. So here we go. Check this one out. I'll let you read it. All right, so that's one way of fixing it. Replace your users and you're all set. What do you think? Can it work? Well, if it works, then you're done. I think you can leave the webinar. You're all set, no problem. If this doesn't work and you cannot replace your users, you have to replace something else or the ways. So that's what we're going to talk about in this webinar. All right. Proven strategies from the field. How can we use those proven strategies to get to what we want? There is no silver bullet. I mentioned that in my last newsletter that I put out there as well. There is no one silver bullet that I found. And if you found a silver bullet, I would love to buy it from you. But there are many, many different quote unquote copper bullets, that I found, that our team has found, that I've seen from the industry as well. And using those things and focusing on continuous improvement, I feel very strongly that you can get the adoption that you're looking for, that you can accomplish what you're looking to do over there. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and look at the questions and answer over here, and then I'll come back to the presentation. Let me see over here what people are saying. Okay, so there are some specific ones, like what do you see as the biggest challenge on the SharePoint adoption for larger financial organizations? I will be talking about large organizations, but not specifically financial organization. Usually large organizations have the same issues. We'll definitely talk about that, Sherry. Is it possible to have two completely different design styles between sub-sites, or do they have to be same? We would like to use Design Manager. So Joe, if you can ping us afterwards about this thing, this is a very specific question on that thing. We're continuing to work on user adoption, but we are struggling to get users to own their site and keep it up to date. Yes, big thing. Keys or suggestions, Carolyn is asking. Absolutely. So we'll definitely talk about that. We'll definitely talk about this as well as to how we can keep things fresh and how, continuous improvement on that. Microsoft makes it hard. when out-of-the-box functions are harder in 2013 than prior versions, list view threshold being the biggest one. Also, column headers not freezing on lists as an example. That's what Marcy is saying. I hear you. Thanks very much for these comments. And one last one I'll read over here from Joe. We are moving from SharePoint 2002 or 2003 maybe he's talking about to SharePoint 2013 Office 365. I'm assuming hybrid. Are there any major pitfalls with implementation we need to be aware of? I'll give you a quick answer on this one, Joe. You need to look at this as a separate product altogether. Don't think of this as an upgrade. Think of it as a separate product, and you'll be much, much happier. Because from that 2003 to 2013, it really is a separate product. All right, let me move back over here. So proven strategies from the field. Here's my proven strategy, at least. Get an executive sponsor. That is definitely number one, and I'm sure many of you agree with that. You definitely need that. End user training and support. Obvious, right? End user training and support. Not so much. There are certain things that I'll say which might not be as obvious as you think. Building no-code solutions and creating no-code developers in-house. What does that have to do with adoption, you might ask? Well, we'll talk more about that. Empower the help desk. Very, very important. When users get confused, they have to go somewhere, and where they go, if the help desk people are also confused, guess what? You won't have SharePoint end users anymore. You'll just have end users who hate SharePoint. Keep things fresh. Very, very important. Somebody asked about that in the questions and answers as well. You need continuous improvement. There is no silver bullet. You got to do certain things, and that really, really helps. So let's get into it. All right, executive sponsorship. Following the leader, I hope everybody agrees, extremely important. Think about it. Have you ever seen a single installment of SharePoint that has really succeeded without executive support? I have not, personally. Top-down support is a must. I even go as far as saying that otherwise you might as well call it quits right now. It's not going to work if you don't have the executive sponsorship, the executive support. Employees always model the behavior of the leader. If the leader says, this SharePoint thing is not going to work, or I don't know why we're wasting money on here, you know what's going to happen? Same exact thing is going to happen from people below as well. And here's another quick thing. I very much believe in this as well. Without the executive support of the initiatives, in this case, we're talking about SharePoint initiatives, people will start leaving, especially your top talent. Just last year, maybe even less than a year ago, one of my good friends, a fellow speaker at conferences, she actually left her company. I don't want to mention any names of the company or of her, but she left even though she had a really good team in place and she is a rock star in SharePoint. She left because the executive sponsorship was just not developing. And that's after years of trying. I think that's a big loss to that company, but that's what it is, and now she's at a different company doing some great stuff. It's going to happen. So what can an executive do? What do executives do to show their initiatives? I'm going to give you a few specific examples of what executives have done and what you can do as well, or which you can nudge them to do. Public proclamation of support. Why are we doing this thing? What is SharePoint and why should you care as employees, right? At announcements, doing it at company meetings, doing it at different places where the communication is brought to everybody, making them understand that, hey, we are committed to this platform. Just like we're committed to Windows or Mac platform, this is also a platform that as a company we're committed to. Here's an actual blog by Jeff Immelt, the CEO of GE, current CEO as well. And he's got this active blog on SharePoint inside, believe it or not, that he keeps current, my understanding is. And when people come to the blog, they comment on it, and there's a direct correlation of people participating here and them getting more exposure to the SharePoint platform and exactly what it can do. Once you get them in with the things that you want them to do, then automatically, the enthusiasm will build. That's just automatic. So this is what's going on at GE over here. This is a little bit hard one. Having executives refuse to accept emails with too many attachments, large attachments, or messages with too many people. Because obviously you want the documentation, the collaboration, everything for that to happen in SharePoint, right? People won't realize that until somebody stops and says, wait a minute, this belongs in our intranet. Let's put it there. Let's collaborate on that, maybe from document management site, or maybe in a team site, or some method we could do it there. This is pretty hard to do. I realize that. But if one executive or one director or one person starts doing it, it starts spreading. And that's what you want to do. You want to start modeling the behavior one person at a time. It is definitely possible, and they'll start seeing the benefits of it. And then this one, which is pretty easy to do, have all the executives take turn, or have one executive answer question of a week. Directly, the answer goes on the front page, the main home page of the portal, or somewhere where you want people to go. That also draws their attention, pulls them in, keeps them going. So overall, looking at this thing, just remember, you want people to go to the portal. You want them to interact more into it. And this way, the executives concretely show their commitment. I'm sure there are more ideas that you could probably think of as well. And if you do, definitely drop us an email or put it in the questions and answers. That'd be great. But these are some of the main specific things that have worked, and I hope it can work for you as well. All right, so that's for the executive support, right? Next thing, end user training and support. Sadly, as we all know, that just because you build something, especially SharePoint deployment, doesn't mean that it's going to automatically start getting used. That just doesn't happen. It has never happened since I've been involved with SharePoint, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. And that goes with any product, really. Just because it's there doesn't mean people will get excited about it because you're excited about it. How do you proactively help users? Here's number one thing on this thing. Empathize. Empathy and not sympathy. Empathy. This is not a psychology class. Yes, I understand that, but it really is, psychological, where you have to really get into the user's mind and understand what they're feeling before you can empathize with them and understand why they should care, what's in it for them. Understand before being understood. I think that's a life lesson that I've learned, that I've benefited from, and it applies the same over here as well. Here's an example. Ready? Simple thing, to you might not be as simple to them. Looking at this right here, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing as a user, all right, well, I can make a new document. Great. Do I click on this drop down or do I click on this button over here? Well, wait a minute. Will this do something different if I click on this link? Let me think about this thing. All right, I'll click on one of these things. Or maybe I'll click on this new document over here. So then it gives me a new window. You know what it's going to give me, right? It's going to give me Microsoft Word. It's going to open up and it's going to give me Microsoft Word. But I wanted to make an Excel document. How do I do that? I don't know. Let me just go back to my file share or go back to my desktop where I know how to do things. Forget all this SharePoint thing, right? Happens all the time. Something very, very simple to people who have worked with SharePoint, but it's not simple to people who have not. So you might find these funny, but there are some empathy generating exercises that I recommend. One, if you're a Mac user, try using PC for one day, just the PC, or vice versa. If you're a PC user, try using Mac for one day. That's something that I've tried, actually. I've not one day, but I've done it for months. And I was frustrated, personally. Not because Mac is not a great platform. I think it's a wonderful platform. Many, many people use it very effectively. I could not. And I really empathize, like, oh, man, if I had to, switch my platform, this would be very, very difficult for me. Try doing that. Here's another thing, much more practical within SharePoint. If you're a SharePoint administrator, remove yourself for 3 days. I say 3 days because first, the frustration is going to set in. Second, the understanding will come. The third day is where you're going to start planning and understanding, okay, here's what I can do to make things better for my users. For you change your rights to be a contributor and nothing more. And that's where you can start to empathize. All right, you know what? This is my contributors. This is how my readers and contributors feel when they don't have admin rights. all the stuff that I say, oh yeah, easy, do this, do that. Well, they can't do it. You know, doing this really, really helps. If it's possible for you to do it, I would definitely recommend doing it. If it's not, I understand. Here's an example of what really happens for user experience, right? Simple scenario. The user sees a document is checked out. It's got that small symbol. It says checked out to somebody. Okay, well, this person wanted to edit this document. You know what they do? That's what they're going to do. The steps they take, first thing is they look around the page and see, all right, well, do I see anything in this so-called document library? Is there any help that's available for me? Any guidance, anything that I can do? Okay, no, I don't know what, I don't see anybody. Then I'm going to ask somebody if I'm sitting in an office nearby, hey, Mike, do you know how to do this thing? Well, if I don't have anybody nearby, if I'm working remotely, or if I just don't like asking people, or nobody's answering, then I'm maybe gonna Google it, Bing it, try to find the answer. And this is only if I'm motivated enough. Usually, after number 2, people just stop, give up. More motivated people will try to do this, Google it or Bing it or try to search for it, or they will call, email, or help desk. You know, sometimes when I present this thing, people say, the administrators in my audience say usually that, oh, no, this is not number 4, Asa. This is number 1. This is what they're doing all the time. They're emailing me, they're calling me, and I'm like, well, that might be the case, but that requires culture change if that's the case right now. And number 5, they'll give up, ask someone else to do it. Just say, no, this SharePoint thing sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. I quit. Forget it. I'm going to do things the old-fashioned way. You don't want them to take these things, right? Once a frustration sets in, once these steps are taken in this thing and nothing is resolved, they will not come back. You know it. So how do you train end users? Here's a recommendation. Take it for what it's worth, right? First, communicating business goals. Weeks or months in advance of a new initiative. This is not the day before. This is not the day off. Way before. Clarifying how the changes affect their role. You know, specific people. What do they need to do? How is this changing for them? And then actually training on software. The actual clicks and the how and stuff like that. Unfortunately, number 3 is sometimes the only thing that happens. You know, I've been brought on site many times to do number 3 without having number 1 and number 2 being in place, and I feel frustrated myself as a trainer that I can't do this thing when people are resisting. They're saying that, well, we've just been told to report to this room and to listen to you, Asif. Like, why should we care? Yeah, it looks fancy, it looks cool, but I already have other things that I need to do. Okay, I don't need to do this whole SharePoint thingy as well. And that has happened many, many times with me also, and you know, it took a while to get them on the same page. Anyway, so think about this. You know, when people are in their roles, they're faculty in schools, they're bankers, they're doctors, they're analysts, they're biologists, and paralegals, and secretaries, and they have all these different roles. How do their roles get affected by this thing? We need to have them understand this thing. The launch, way before the launch, and the training, posters, having announcements, having internal social media and stuff like that, all those things could help you get the word out of what's coming, what should they prepare for, how will the roles be changing, how does it benefit them, and then the training happens, and that's much, much more successful. And regarding the training, I got some sample figures here for you. That some of the stuff that we have done, some of the stuff I've seen other people do, but the figures could change. But approximately $115 per user you're doing for a 2-day training, an end user training, right? These costs go up pretty high, pretty fast for 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 users or more. Are you really gonna get them into the room, do 2 8-hour trainings, and just open up their skull and pour all the information down and close the skull, close their brain, and say, okay, you're good to go, and now you've spent $1 million or something on training? Is that really effective? What do you think? Well, in my opinion, a bold statement, a thorough end user's training on SharePoint is a waste of time, completely. It's a waste of your time, it's a waste of their time, it's not worth it, okay? And I mean that for a thorough end user training. This is from my own experience, this is from the stuff that I've seen out there as well, from people trying to commit and throw everything into people's head. Then you look at some studies out there. This is from Open Book Management. It's a pretty old study, but I don't think these figures have changed much. 10% of what people read after a 2-day training, they retain. 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see. One thing that these guys don't have is how much they retain if they actually do something, right? So if they're actually participating in labs and stuff like that. But imagine doing labs for thousands and thousands of people. There's a lot of synchronization required if you're going to do hands-on stuff. Okay, everybody click on this icon. Let's go over here. Let's do this thing. I've done it. Takes a lot of time. Very possible to do. Takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of money to make this happen with the lab environment and stuff like that. Usually not worth doing it thoroughly, honestly. Somewhat, yes, but not thoroughly. So what do you do? What's the solution? Here's some suggestions. Providing a kickoff introduction training, frequent awareness sessions or lunch and learns or whatever you want to call them. But the major point that I want to make here is it should be presented to by peers. Many times that's not the case. It's usually the trainers who are actually doing it or the SharePoint guru who's doing it. And you know what happens? Then it becomes like a lecture. Then it becomes like, oh, well, here's what we want you to do. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you have to do. No. Let's not look down upon them. It should be by peers who have already seen stuff. And they are the ones who are actually now evangelizing and telling other people what they have learned. Works out really nicely. Providing on-demand quick help. So when somebody needs help in context, on demand, at that point in time, you want to provide them help as they need it. Okay, and that could be tip sheets, could be tutorials, it could be reference documents sitting on their desks or on the screen, somewhere where they can get to that quickly. Now, I'm very biased on this thing. Of course, our company specializes in on-demand help, but I'm not going to say that you have to get our product to make this happen. Anything that makes sense to provide them the help they need when they need it is very, very much more effective than putting it somewhere else where they have to go to get it, because that just does not work. We've seen it. Now, having a knowledge portal, a wiki portal, or something like that is great for people who want to dig in further, who want to go in further to enhance their knowledge, to take classes and stuff like that online or on premises, or on premise, I should say. All right, I'm going to do a quick poll over here. Okay, I want to get you guys talking here as well. So the poll over here is, does your organization provide context-sensitive help to users? Do you already have a solution for this thing? It would be great to share this with everybody so we can all share this knowledge together. Meanwhile, I'll look at see if there's any questions I can answer. Somebody's asking, do you recommend using metadata versus folders for document management? Really, really good question. I am not opposed to folders, in my opinion, at least, actually. Metadata is great, but folders also do work, sometimes for security reasons, sometimes for just adoption reasons. So, Denise, that's my opinion. Folders are not so bad. Metadata is better, but do what's going to work for your users, for your community, SharePoint community. Okay. As a SharePoint admin, what will your training videos not teach me? James is asking. Wonderful question. It will teach you a lot of general SharePoint knowledge. It will not teach you how to run your SharePoint environment. It will not teach you how to do things your way. That's something that you would need more mentoring and consulting for specifically, James, in my opinion. But it will teach you a lot of stuff that you'll need to know the right way and the wrong way of reporting and designing and branding and dashboarding and everything else. All right, let me close the polls over here and then share it. Okay, so that's pretty cool. 24% say yes. That's actually higher than I had predicted. And 76% unfortunately say no, which is pretty usual. You definitely want something like this. Our solution is, of course, one of the solutions that's offered in the community, but you really, really do want context-sensitive help for users when they need it. I mean, think about it for yourself as well. When you're stuck on something, you want help at that time, not before, not after, at that time, and you want it there. Otherwise, we get frustrated and then move on. So you don't want that to happen. All right, let us know if we can help in that situation also. We can provide some guidance. Next thing is build no-code solutions. Many people say, well, what are you talking about? No-code solutions? That doesn't make any sense. How does this fit into the adoption story, right? Yes, it does. Believe it or not, it really does. Creating no-code developers in-house, evangelists, and having them spread the word, it works. Here's how. Well, actually, before I talk about exactly how, here's some questions to ask yourself first, right? Let me just make sure you guys can see my screen and all. Yeah. Okay, so this was one screen that I had shared before, build your no-code solutions, and here's a second screen. So questions to ask yourself. Ready? Number one. Oh, well, actually, these are the incorrect questions first. What can SharePoint do? What can this platform do for, what can it do technology-wise, feature-wise? Next, how much is the cost of the solution that I need to build? I need to build I don't know, a reporting solution, a dashboarding solution, a workflow solution, automation solution, whatever. How much does it cost? I'm sorry, but in my opinion, these are not the right questions to ask. The correct questions to ask before you begin is, what do our users need? What does our business need? What is the value that we're trying to get? What does it mean to build this thing that we're going to be building? How long is going to be this investment? How long can we get a return on this investment? So what's the return on investment long term for this solution or for these solutions? And also, who's going to maintain these solutions? Ask yourself these things, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, that you will go a long way instead of asking exactly what SharePoint can do and how can I take this feature and use it somehow. SharePoint can do a lot of stuff. And as far as solutions is concerned, look at some of these things like help desk portal, vendor management, vacation scheduling, all these things and many, many more things have been done on SharePoint many, many times over. Okay, so it's all possible. In fact, all these things that you're looking at over here, all these things have been done without code as well. Okay, all this stuff is possible. So, doesn't mean that you should use SharePoint for everything, but definitely use it for the things that make sense for your business. Reasons for going no code, pretty obvious, hopefully, but the possibilities are pretty enormous of what you can do, and I'll show you some screenshots of what is possible. It's a quick learning curve. It's an easier ongoing management of the solution, and it's easy to delegate responsibility to somebody who is a non-coder, let's say like yourself, right? So, who is building these solutions, and why are they building it, and why does it matter? Let's talk about that. I want to be clear here, I'm not talking about end users. So not end users. They're not the ones who are actually building these no-code solutions, okay? They're the ones who are using it. The people who are actually building these no-code solutions are the power users and the evangelists. And here's why they should be building it. SharePoint is a platform that's built for that. It's not a turnkey solution. You have lists, you have libraries, you have security, you have sites, you have people, you have all these different building blocks that's there. You're supposed to build solutions on top of it. And there's lots of stuff you can do with browser and with no-code technologies to build these solutions. And once you do it, you're making it more team specific, right? So it's a power user or evangelist or a person, the super user on your team who's building it for their users. And you know what happens? Automatically, it creates a sense of pride. It creates a sense of accountability as well. Okay, so Jim has created this solution. Now everybody knows that, hey, this is Jim's solution. He made it. It's really cool, and Jim is happy to, oh yeah, this is something that I created. Automatically, it percolates that the sense of pride and the sense of accountability, the sense of, letting people know how to use it effectively. And now you have a solution that you're propagating in your team. It works. I've seen it work. So implementing quick wins, very, very important. Identify true pain points and focusing on them. It sounds easy, but it's not. Unfortunately, you have to identify true pain points, not the ones that you think are pain points, but true pain points. Just because it looks like something is tedious doesn't mean that that's not the right way to do it. I found this hard the right way, the hard way. I actually wrote about it. There's an article from me on LinkedIn. If you are friends with me, check out that article about a secretary from Tennessee and exactly what happened. It was a lesson learned. I won't bore you with that right now. We're short on time anyway. But definitely look at the pain points, then try to solve them, is my opinion here. Now, I'm going to show you some screenshots. It's always good to see what's possible as well. And then, of course, after that, you can find the solutions on YouTube. You can find solutions on our site. You can find consultants who can build it, or you can try to build it yourself. So here's SharePoint Designer, for example. This is 2010. I know a lot of people are in 2010 still. So you can use SharePoint Designer 2010 still to make data views and make list views and use conditional formatting. And a lot of good stuff can happen within a few minutes. You can do it to make it happen. Okay, this is SharePoint Designer 2013. There's workflows you can create, and those are extremely powerful workflows. You can call web services if you wanted to. You can use something called a dictionary variable to insert stuff into it that you find from outside, and then you can go ahead and iterate through it. And you can put your results out to whatever lists and libraries you want. So now you're getting information from your vendors, from your partners, from resellers, or from other subsites, and bringing in directly, all through workflows. Really cool stuff you could do. Then there's Access. Access 2013 lets you build light applications, not really heavy, but light applications, which you can use immediately, launch it to your SharePoint site, and you can use them right there. Really cool stuff in Access 2013. Then there's self-service powerful search functionality. So search, we always think of as this text box. You put stuff in and you get results. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about search-driven solutions where you actually build a solution, a page out or a site out based using search web parts and technologies that are in SharePoint 2013 and Office 365, SharePoint Online, where people go there like a page like this and they see the information that's current about a specific topic, a subject area, a person, whatever. So all this stuff is very possible using search-driven solutions. No-code forms. InfoPath is still alive and well. It's not dead. You can still use InfoPath. In fact, Microsoft recommends continuing use of InfoPath because right now there is no other solution, honestly, that's no-code form solution until Microsoft comes out with something else, or you can go a third-party solution. But if that's not an option, use InfoPath. It still works. It's great. Yes, it has limitations. Absolutely. Yes, it will not get any more additional features in the next. There is no next version for it. So, but if you can use it for team-based solutions, go for it. That's my opinion. You can make dynamic dashboards using Power View. This, for example, was created using Excel 2013. There's a Power View functionality within that. You make the Power View, you make all these cool animations and structures and stuff like that, and you launch it to SharePoint. Really cool stuff you could do. More dashboards using Performance Point. More dashboards even using SQL Server Power Pivot. A lot of stuff. Project management. You can use Project Server. You can use Project 2013. Build your project management solution directly on top of SharePoint. Very, very possible. Last but not least, live mapping functionality. There's something called the geolocation column, which I talk about quite a bit at times. And you can use that directly within SharePoint 2013 on-prem to provide live mapping functionality within your pages, lists, libraries, wherever you want it to be. This is one of the examples of that. Check it out. There's a lot of stuff like this. You can get a 30-day trial of Office 365. There's no credit card required to do that, and play with a lot of these things. You can find videos and stuff out there for all these things and more. You can also look at the free videos, the sample videos that we have on our site. We have dozens of them, so you can check that out also. And you'll find some inspiration, hopefully, to get started. Next thing, empowering the help desk. All right, so we're down to our last two now. Empowering the help desk, in my mind, is pretty important because help desk has to be the people who help the users. Okay. Now, the setup of the help desk in big companies, you'll see internal help desk supporting multiple applications, right? You got Exchange or this and that, and they're doing everything. Usually, big companies have that. For small, medium-sized companies, you have one person, few people, supporting users, or maybe you have a help desk, but that's outsourced somewhere else is doing it. For smaller companies, fairly small companies, it's usually the Joe or the Sarah that everybody runs to, like, hey, how do I do this? What do I do? And stuff like that, right? That's like for 30, 50, few hundred people. And that's what happens with the help desk over there. How do you help these users? How do you help these users, empower them to help other users? So now, providing help to the help desk, here are some options. In-person training, especially on the power user type of role of what can SharePoint do. and what can SharePoint not do? What is it good for? What is it not good for? Best practices, worst practices. If you could do it in person, that's great. In person is not really practical much anymore. But for these help desk personnel, and if it's you who's the help desk, definitely you should get formal training in person. If not possible, do it online. That's the next best choice. Next, having a knowledge base available. So somewhere where you can always tap into to get more information, manuals and wiki pages and sites and documentations, tutorials that you can always look at. Say, all right, how do I do reporting and access? Maybe if I have 2010, establishing connections also with department team evangelists. So having a person in each team that you can look upon, because you know what, I'm in a help desk, or let's say there's a help desk over there, formal help desk. They're not that deep, and they're not keeping deep in that knowledge of SharePoint, but they know the person in each department that is the super user, the power user that they can always call upon, they can talk to, and this way they can communicate their message, and they can also get their message from them saying, hey, you know what, somebody on your team is asking me this question, I'm not really sure, what do you think about this thing? You can always do that. Online resources, and that of course goes with tutorials and other stuff as well. There's so much out there these days, but it has to be curated. It has to be curated for the help desk so they know where they can go to get the help they need when they need it. And also, last but not least in here, remote consultation with experts. Having hourly consultation already, hooked up, so your help desk or you yourself can call upon some experts and times. Okay, I need a couple hours here, I need a couple hours there, 5 hours here. Many companies offer this service, and I think this is extremely helpful to get remote consultation with experts. All right, last one, keeping it fresh. So focusing on continuous remarketing. Very important, I think. You see movie trailers. I see movie trailers all the time, which is a year from now, a movie is coming out. I'm like, oh my God, a year from now, they're already advertising for it. Why? Why are they doing this? Because it creates excitement. It creates that want, that need, that desire. You can use this. You could use the same method in launches and relaunches, re-engagements. Okay? It works. It definitely works. Holding mini launches and relaunch events. And every time making a campaign or whatever you do for initiatives for SharePoint, keeping the WIIFM in mind always for the users. What's in it for me? Me as the person who's doing it, and me as the people who are actually going to be at the receiving end. If you don't know what that is in that case, then it's not even worth doing, in my opinion. It has to be something for them. It has to be communicated properly. The marketing communication, there's many different tools you can use, videos. I know a company who used posters around the building, like Spider-Man posters and stuff like that, saying, hey, here's something that's coming new. it worked. Special announcements at company events, internal social media, newsletters, all these things you need to do to market or remarket within the organization. And going forward, here's some examples of the simple launch campaigns. For example, currently our intranet is like this, but a new one is coming, a new one is on the horizon. Here's a new one, so giving them a perspective of what you're talking about, what the difference is going to be. Huge difference, right? And then saying releasing September 2016, something to create that excitement and that want. All right, creating a sense of accountability, also extremely important over here. Driving culture change, doing it through people, not just doing it through through artifacts and through technology. You need people to drive the change, okay? People to empower them. By the way, let me actually pause here and just say that I know we're almost we are at the hour right now. I'm going to need 5 more minutes. We should be done. We'll do a raffle at that time also. I'm going to ask Michael to pick somebody. And Michael, when I call up on you later, if you can tell me who it is, we'll do that. So 5 more minutes and we'll be done. Okay, and then also this is, I think, extremely important. Think about this thing over here. I've seen this before and it works really nice. You have a SharePoint page and then you have the owner right there on the page, right? Maybe, if possible, picture and then their title and their contact info. And then you have the page. This creates a lot of comfort for users. So then they know that, you know what, this SharePoint thing that I'm looking at, that I'm dealing with every day, I'm not alone. There's somebody out there who can help. Someone is always there that I can call upon. Extremely useful. All right, holding food-related events. Okay, food always generally brings us together. It works in this SharePoint arena as well. Name it something cool. So Oktoberfest, SharePointtoberfest. At Halloween, collaboration. At Thanksgiving, SharePoint giving. Why not? And these boring lunch and learns that we do, why not give it a different name? Call it 30 for 30. Give us 30 minutes and we'll teach you 30 things. Well, maybe not 30 things, but you know what? Small, something like that. Having some kind of a unique name, a catchy phrase and stuff like that always helps. Okay, so here's some ideas. Also, last slide here, providing useful widgets for your homepage. What is it that my user is thinking about when they're coming to their My Site, or when they're going to our team page or their portal homepage? You know what? They're thinking about themselves also, what's important to them. What's important to them? Well, if you're commuting, you know what's important to you? Weather is important to you. Weather of where I am, weather of where my home is, very important to me. Traffic of my location to the location that I need to get to, very important to me. Maybe you can automatically get these addresses from their profile, work address, home address, show the traffic, show the weather. Very, very possible. There's widgets out there, there's web parts out there that you can buy, that you can build, that will give it to you. And for inspiration, thought of the day, why not? Try not to become a man of success, but rather to become a man of value. I still learn a lot every time I read this quote. Like, this makes a lot of sense. Anyway, so this stuff is important to people. Give them what's important to them first before expecting them to pay attention to the stuff that's important to you, is my philosophy. All right, then, call to action. First of all, on top right, here's my information if you need to get in touch with them, touch with me. There's a raffle coming up, which I promised before. Michael's going to give me the name. But before that, always have clear goals defined before proceeding, in my opinion. Always helps you. Commit to continuous improvement. It's not a silver bullet solution. It's many things that you have to continue. It's a program that you have to build to make this happen. And lastly, a little bit more biased over here, but look into our system also and see if this can help you improve your adoption organization. Let us know if you want a demo for help system. Look for other stuff out there also that's comparable and provide them the help they need when they need it, both for the help desk and for the users, is really, really going to go a long way. So thank you very much, folks, for being with me, spending the hour with me. We went 3 minutes over. I apologize for that. But thanks for sticking around, all of you that did. Michael, do you have a name for me? Michael, you there? I think you're muted still. Oh, okay, yeah, I see the name. So he sent it to me through chat. Sherry Simon. Sherry Simon, you're the winner for today. So what we're going to do is we have your information. We're going to go ahead and ping you. I'll have our webmaster ping you actually and provide you access to our website, VisualSP.com, or also before known as SharePoint-videos.com. Anyway, we'll continue to do this every time. Oh, no, no worries.
I was muted.
No worries. So I got the name. Thank you very much for everybody for being here today. We are going to be putting this recording out there on our website in a day or two. Hopefully sooner than that, and hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, sure, Michael.
I'd like to thank everybody for. It's amazing how many questions we got through this, and I'm sorry it was not possible to answer directly every single question. But please, I published my email, and Asif has published his. Please email us if you'd like to further the discussion. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, guys, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.